Be careful.
Thanks for keeping Woodrow.
You're welcome.
Bye, Dad. So right now I am on my way to the grocery store because we've got a grocery pickup order for the people who were affected by Hurricane Helene. I have come to Ingles first before I go over to Walmart for the grocery pickup. But before I go in, just for an update, in the last video, the live that we did to just let people know that we were all right from Hurricane Helene, we, at that point, couldn't get a hold of our grandparents who do live further east in the state where a lot of the devastation is, and praise the Lord, we got a hold of them yesterday, and Dad actually talked to his dad today as well. They are fine. They don't have any power, but they did get cell service back, and we actually have our great aunt and uncle, Dad's aunt and uncle, also out there. We have another great aunt and uncle out there as well. And they're okay. We heard from them. They don't have power either, but they're okay. So that was a blessing. And we figured that they were probably okay because where they live is not a low-lying area. But still, it was a little bit worrisome to not hear from them for a couple of days. And then we just got cell service back here today at the day of filming this. So I'm going to go in Ingles, and I'm not really sure what I'm going to find, to be honest, because one of the main distribution centers for Ingles is in Asheville. There's a lot of people here, which is not abnormal for an evening time. I'm not for sure, but I did hear that they weren't able to take credit cards, so I do have some cash, but I was going to go in here and look for milk because we weren't able to get milk in the last couple of days, and I might look for one or two other things. We're excited about the grocery pickup that we are able to do. Katie hunted around, and on Facebook, she found out our local produce stand was taking items because they have a big truck for produce, and so they're taking items and they're going to drive them out there and to, Haywood and Buncombe County, to some of the places of devastation, and that is something that might be happening in your area. So that's something I would encourage you to look out for is, of course, there's ways that you can give monetarily. And that was the other update I wanted to give, was in that live, people generously were donating money, and we thank you so much for that. That night, I went home and calculated that up and sent it all to the Ryan Hall, y'all. I can put his channel in the description, but I know a lot of y'all watch that, and he has people on the ground, and he has kind of a force that he is mobilizing, so to speak, to help. So I sent all of that there. But we were excited to find that there's people here taking items, so that way we could even buy items for them to take. And, it's things like toothbrushes and water, and it's stuff like baby formula. And I get so emotional thinking about it, because especially, the fact that they need baby formula and diapers and wipes and that kind of stuff, because I have a baby at home. And, I was laying down in the bed last night thinking, I have a clean bed, but my baby has a clean bed. My baby has formula. My baby has bottles. My baby has clothes. And, so it's just bad, and I just get so emotional. And, at church on Sunday, our cousin stood up and said, we really need to pray for those people, but we need to be thankful because it was supposed to hit us. It was at the last minute it turned east, and for reference, Asheville and Buncombe, Haywood County, and it even hit as far as Franklin and Bryson City. Franklin and Bryson City are an hour away from us. Asheville and Buncombe, Haywood County is like 2.5, 3 hours away from us. So all that to say, we're excited that we're able to do this. It's a real blessing to us to be able to reach out, and it's something that maybe you can look and see in your area if there's anything that you could do. But of course, the biggest thing we can do is just pray for people. Just got back in the car, and there was a lot of shelves empty. There was no eggs, no meat, barely any potatoes or onions. What else? Not a lot of milk. There was just a lot of stuff, fruit. There was a lot of stuff that was empty. And I think a lot of that is also a product of the dock strikes. So I'm sure that you have probably heard about the dock strikes that are happening. Okay, I actually had to move the guy that I was parked right in front of. Needed to get his tailgate down, and I was parked too close. But that is another thing that kind of complicates things, adds to the mix, is the dock strike that, as of filming this, just happened today. A lot of the dock workers are around the country on strike, which means, of course, things are not going to be coming to the ports. I mean, not going to be getting unloaded. And so then you've got people buying stuff here to send to the hurricane victims. Like people like, I mean, we're buying stuff for the hurricane victims too. And then you have people hearing about the dock strike buying things. So it's kind of crazy. I'll be honest, it's scary. It's scary to walk in the grocery store and see, you know, some of the staples of eggs and milk and meat wiped out. And there was a lot of people in there, and the lines were kind of long because it is cash only. Of course, that takes longer. So it's crazy, you know, with everything going on. I mean, of course, we know that there's an election year coming up, and it can be just hard to not get overwhelmed and get stressed with everything that's going on. But I just have to remember, and I'm just constantly reminded of, but Jesus, but Jesus, but Jesus. That's what I like to say. In amongst this terrible devastation of people losing their lives and people still missing, and, you know, people losing their homes, and everything that's happening, and you worry about the dock strikes now going on, and, you know, of course, there's a lot of turmoil in the country with an election year, and it's hard sometimes not to feel overwhelmed by that. But then I just go back to, but Jesus. And there's something that I wanted to share. Katie had seen on Facebook where, I guess it was in Haywood County, and I'll put a picture of this in there. Someone had shared a post and said, I guess they went to their neighbor's house to see if there's anything they could do for them and see how their neighbors were. And the first thing that the neighbor wanted to show him was a picture or a piece of paper out of a songbook. And that piece of paper, I guess, had floated up to his property. And so you think about just a page from a hymnal, from a songbook, you know, paper is real fragile, and especially in a flood. But that page had made it and floated up on it to his land. And that song was Peace Like a River, I believe. I think I've got the name of that right. And I just thought, I mean, wow, is that not God just showing up and showing, you know, that even in amongst the devastation, he's still there? You know, that's really stuck in my mind, and that's something that we just have to remember in the turbulent times. I feel like that's kind of going on in the country, and especially for the terrible, you know, flood victims and this storm, and, you know, all over the southeast, is just remembering that God is still there, and that God is good, and God is going to reach down and help and show his grace and mercy and love, and you know, if there's a way that we can be a part of that, by donating items, by praying. So that's just something I wanted to share. And now I'm going to head to Walmart. Austin is actually going to meet me there. We bought a lot of flats of water. Of course, that's big. That takes up a lot of space. So we wanted to do 2 cars for the pickup, so maybe all the water could go in the bed of his truck. Hi. So they are currently loading Austin's truck, which is good. We'll get all the flats of water in there. And now we're going to head home. And since we've got both cars loaded, what we're going to do is tomorrow when we drop this stuff off, Austin can just take my car to work, and then we'll have his truck, and we'll have this car, and then we'll be able to drop it off with the people who are going to take it on out to Haywood and Buncombe County. But another thing, just before I forget, before I head home, that I wanted to mention too, was just praying for the people who are going out there to help. So we have friends who have went to help, but they're kind of struggling too because there's just no food, which is terrible and so just scary to think about for everyone involved. But then you think about trying to work, you know, we were talking to his wife, our friend, you're trying to work like a 12-hour work day and just do as much as you can to help these people, but you can't do that if you don't have food. And it's not like you can just go to the store and get it because of the roads and the floods, and then there's just not a lot of availability. So that's kind of another element to even be thinking about and praying about. So just kind of crazy. So we're going to head on home. So made it back. Can't remember if we talked about, if I mentioned on video what we got, but we got the flats of water. I got like a big thing, like 40 pounds of dog food. We got baby formula, diapers, snacks, tarps, I'm trying to think. Just
I
Ziploc
found
bags,
a
tin
few
foil,
Bibles. I got some like passies and baby food. Bottles, just different little stuff, snack food. I think I got some water too.
Looked like he had some hairbrushes.
Yeah, and
I
little
got a
baby
little bit of
blankets that
deodorant.
work for babies or small animals if they had to have them, which they
Yeah.
probably don't need them. Especially this weather, they don't need them.
No.
But things like that, just, you know.
Different stuff. But it was all stuff that was on the list. And so, again, we encourage you, if in your area there may be a list like that somewhere where you could donate items if you wanted.
Or if you just got something at your house, you know, something you ain't opened, something you ain't used,
Something
and you're
extra,
like, okay.
yeah.
I mean, at this point, they need anything they can get because they have nothing. And it's not just one person, it's bunches and bunches and bunches of people that literally don't even have
in
clothes.
several states. And that's another thing. I don't want to only say, oh, it's only bad in North Carolina. I know it's in Virginia, it's in Tennessee. I've heard it's in South Carolina. Georgia, Florida. I may even be missing a state there, but we definitely just need to keep praying for people. And it was kind of crazy. Katie showed me a picture, and we can put that in here. The rec park just down the road from our grandparents where we played as kids is underwater.
I didn't show you the picture of Clyde, which some of the water in some of these places have receded, so now they're in active. I listened to the mayor, Zeb Smathers, in Canton this morning. He said they're in active rebuild mode, but there's still remote places that haven't been accessed or can't be accessed. Bunches and bunches of small bridges over creeks have been washed out, and that traps you, right? So if you're someone who has an ATV, or even, I know people who have horses. Blake and them have horses. If their stuff got washed out, he could literally get on his horse and go wherever, and he probably has, in fact. Or
know some people who have done that,
right? And then I've seen stuff on Facebook about there was a team of mules that they hitched up, and they're already out there. They took them to Buncombe County, and that's how they're trucking stuff into these people, and that's how they're going to people is getting on their horses and getting on the mules and going in, because they're, you know, that's a great animal to pack stuff in with. So definitely prayers. Look out for outreach in your local community, things that you could do. Definitely Ryan Hall, y'all. You could send money there.
We're going to leave the description. And again, like I said in the beginning of the video, people who had donated to our live stream, which we appreciate so much. And I felt good about giving to him. He's kind of a small organization. In other words, we know it's going directly there, if that makes sense.
Trust that.
We trust that. And so we're going to leave off here, and then hopefully tomorrow, you know, time is of the essence, and we're going to drop this stuff off. But one thing I wanted to say is, you know, I was mentioning earlier in the video, it's just, you know, feels overwhelming, you know, having this terrible disaster in our community, and you know, now we've got the dock worker strike, and you know, there's an election coming up. And then what were you saying that was it
Israel, that business over there, the unrest in that area? And so it kind of just feels like, of course it's terrible, because that means that there's people who are going to experience suffering, there's people who are going to die, there's people who are going to experience all sorts of terrible things. But of course that also means more difficulty, unrest, and just downright like bad energy and bad discomfort and all that kind of stuff in the country at a time like this. And especially us living in the southeast, and that's where the dock strikes are. It's kind of a perfect storm for our area.
Exactly.
Especially.
And it's scary, and it's like I said earlier, then we've got the dock strikes going on, but then people trying to buy stuff, you know, like us trying to buy stuff for the hurricane victims and send it on, and
then people panicking, and then you go to the store and there's like nothing left. No, they don't have nothing. We heard from a friend whose husband is on the DOT and is out there trying to help them.
Yeah, I told
and
them
they
that.
don't even have food,
No,
right?
They don't even.
You know, and they can't rebuild roads on potato chips. You know what I mean? They can't. They can't do that stuff. I was wondering if Binks was out here. I heard something next to me. I don't know where he is.
It's just it's so hard to not like feel that overwhelm and I mean,
panic.
just and panic, and it, maybe it's even something else going on in your life. Maybe you live in another country or across the states or whatever it is. But something that that kind of come to my mind when I was driving home is the Israelites. At one point, they wanted so bad to. Okay, I see a baby. We gotta hurry. They wanted so bad to have a king. They wanted to be like other nations, and they said, "Give us a king, give us a king, give us a king." And you know, in other books of the Bible, but especially in 1st and 2nd Kings and those books, you just read about evil. I mean, evil king after king after king after king to try to, you know, it just was a nightmare. And the whole time, all they needed to do, and there was some points in times where they did, but all they needed to do was just look to God as their king. And so you know, thinking about the disasters and thinking about the election coming up. It's so
Unrest.
It's so easy to hang our hopes on, well, if this person gets in this office, then, you know, it will be fixed. But that's almost like the Israelites, and I find myself guilty of
or
thinking
these
that.
series of events line up,
Then everything will be okay. But we just have to be prayerful and remember that God's in our house. It don't matter who's in the White House. It don't matter what's going on. I mean, of course it matters. I mean, the flood victims, people passing away. I'm not saying that. I just mean that we have to remember to keep God at the center. And I'm saying that just as much for me as anyone, because I get overwhelmed and I get scared and worry and think about there's babies out there. What if they don't have formula? What if they don't have diapers? What if, you know, what about the people? What about people who have died? What about all this stuff? But we do what we can, and we pray and keep God at the center of it. So
that's exactly right. And I would say usually I'm not one to feed into any sort of panic or sensationalism. That's just not me. But I will admit freely right now, I feel a little bit of that, and it's because of Ira. I've never had a problem.
Different.
I've always thought,
I'll fend for myself. I'll figure it out.
Not a big deal.
But
I can go
different with kids.
Right. But with Ira, I feel that kind of panicky nature of, oh my gosh, he's my responsibility, and I've got to provide for him. Oh my Lord, what if something happens? And I feel so terrible even worrying about that, because there's people who were faced head on with that
right now with it.
Yep,
And
victims of the hurricane. Exactly. So I just thought there's so many things we could say, and I always like to stay on these videos, even though we're literally only looking at a camera in the yard. I just somehow feel like every one of you is just right there, right? And I always like to commune, but we'll hop off here. We'll catch you tomorrow, probably, when we hopefully can
drop this stuff off.
I have to call them tomorrow and ask them about how that goes. If you just come by and they've got a trailer where they open the gate, you know, on the truck, put the stuff in, shut it, if they have a certain thing that they want to do with it. And then I got to go check on Ira because I heard him screaming. And I also have to go wrap up a video that I'm doing that you will catch, I don't know,
sometime next week?
Probably after this one. So
yes.
It'll be after this. So, okay, we'll catch you tomorrow.
Okay.
Looks like Katie's writing something in some of the Bibles before we get ready to take the things.
Yeah.
Just short little things. I'm a lefty, so it takes me a minute. And I had to write with a pencil because I knew I'd messed up. I haven't wrote with a pencil in years, but I should because I mess up with a pen all the time. I tell you what, what's bad is because we no longer write everything, right? We just type. We don't do anything.
My hand cramps up real
fast.
fast.
I can only write just one thing, and I'm like, my writing is literally terrible and horrible, and I just feel so bad for even saying that. People are like, why don't you write? But I don't.
I know, I'm the same.
So it's terrible. I just have had that thought. I'm like, is that the idea of modern technology to make us all forget how to write and it goes extinct? And
Right. Okay, we got everything that we need to get in the cars, and now we are ready to roll down the road, drop this stuff off. I said I wanted to go by the post office real quick before it closes, so maybe we'll do that first, and then
we're going to try to do that. But we've got the truck loaded down, the 4Runner loaded down, so that should be pretty good. We're excited about getting to drop this stuff off. And then earlier, we actually both were in town for appointments with the boys, and we seen lots of people dropping stuff at the police department.
I think
So
that's
that
something
was
that's
awesome
going on.
to get to
the
see.
local police department, possibly fire department, something like that, food bank in your area. Could be a drop-off location for...
But then also, just real quick before we go, I just wanted to say, I feel like, and maybe it's just us because where we live, but I feel like Asheville's getting a ton of attention, and there are a ton of other places besides Asheville and Haywood County who have been hit. You know, Boone and Old Fort and Newport. I mean, Flat Rock, all these other places.
Of course,
so,
Asheville's absolutely horrific too. I mean, it's all horrible.
Right, but I feel like I don't want it to seem like we're only talking about what's in our backyard, because the other places, Florida and South Carolina and Georgia and Tennessee. I mean, we said
Virginia,
that maybe already in the video, but yeah, it's not just here, so.
And just there's other really, really little, tiny, just quiet little communities and towns in North Carolina that have literally been just like, they're not even there, just obliterated. So we gotta remember to pray for all the places, here, there, in
and
between.
then if you're in some of those areas, look in that area, you know, to see if there's anything that you could do. All right, off we go.
Okay.
Be careful.
I will. I'll see you there.
I will see you there.
These people will care if I just do that right there. It don't matter, it's all going to the same place. some power trucks leaving, and I bet you anything they're headed for the hurricane relief. Maybe, I'm not sure. Could just be a wishful thought. I don't know. Goodbye, boys, wherever you're headed. I hope you're safe and you get what you need to get done. All right, Corey's gonna move the truck. We might buy some produce, and then we are
Headed home.
headed
Back to the babies.
Yep, back to the babies. All right, I have to come over here, get into here so I could get my wallet if I want to buy a little bit of produce. It's that time of year, guys, and I absolutely love it. I love the flowers. It's just a nice bright spot amongst everything. Got some pumpkins, and those appear to be apples. Looking for something? Beef. Okay. And pumpkins if you need them. Last year we carved pumpkins, so maybe we'll get to do that again this year. It's not quite time. Give it a little bit more time to make them last closer maybe to Halloween, but some squash.
Those are
Tomatoes.
So we made it home, and we're glad that we got everything dropped off. And we talked to the lady there at the produce stand. It's funny, the man who owns it is also named Corey.
Yeah.
And she said that he was going to do a drop off out in that area once a week if stuff kept coming in. So they're going to take the truck on Friday. This is Wednesday that we're filming this, at least this part of the video. So we're glad we're able to do that. It's still just, it's just shocking. There's a video, I think Mom mentioned it in her video, but we'll link it as well, of a man, just his personal helicopter, him and his wife, and they were taking stuff to people who are trapped because there's so many bridges that have been washed out that even if your house is still there, you're just trapped.
Yeah, you can't get in or out.
But that aerial footage of just that one spot in Asheville is, I mean, you'll see. If you go and watch it, you'll see it's unreal. The road is gone. It just doesn't exist anymore. And then where the road was, I mean, I don't know how they put a road back there. And I mean, I don't know if it's true, but we've heard people say, I can't remember who Mom said that she heard say that in that part that it was 10 times worse than Katrina. I don't know if that's true. I'm just saying what we've heard for the magnitude, to, you know, show how bad it is. But also, again, it's not just Asheville or Buncombe County, but it's of course all the other states as well, but it's just for us because, you know, our dad is from there. That's his home, and our grandparents are out there, and our great aunt uncles and other family are out there. And
family
then
on both sides out there.
Family on both sides, and then, you know, over outside of Asheville and Black Mountain where Miss Cindy lived for years. And so it really does just feel like in our backyard. And then, you know, Bryson City. But I say all that to say, not leaving out, you know, we got friends, Holman's Homestead and Boone, you know, and Tennessee, and then Greenville, Tennessee is wiped out. That's where Austin is from. That's where my husband's from. So it's just crazy. And I mean, as time goes on, we're just hearing more stories and more things, and it's just,
it makes you feel bad because you feel helpless. I feel so terrible for
helpless.
those people and what they've lost and the position that they're put in. And I feel helpless, like, here's these people suffering in agony and pain and just this hardship that I can't imagine. There's nothing I can, you know, I feel like there's nothing I can do. I wish I could be there and hug them and hold their hand and just, you know, do all these things. And in reality, you know, there's thousands and thousands of people all throughout the Southeast who have found themselves like this. And this coming weekend or so will be a week that they have this is their new life, having to rebuild. What if you don't have flood insurance? What are they going to do with those places where the road is just literally gone? And not only is the road not there, there's nowhere to put a new road. And even if they started tomorrow and they said...
It's going to take years.
Yeah, it's going to take years. So then what happens? What about the people who, you know, something I just thought of, if those roads that are just gone like that, those houses that are there, how are they going to get power? There's no road for a power truck to come in there and work on. So that's not going to work. So what's going to happen there? Maybe their house is just literally intact and normal and fine because they were on high ground, but the road that they went in and out of, and then nobody's coming to fix their power because they can't even get a truck back there. So I did see, you know, and I still continue to see all over Facebook and different people asking for helicopters. If you have a private helicopter and you want to come land in the mountains here and work on helping people who are trapped, sending supplies to people who are isolated because of the flood damage, eating the roads away. I've seen a lot of that. There's been people that I've heard of from around here. We have a small airport here, leaving to go out there to do that. Like I said, I saw that team of mules. I mean, we saw massive outreach.
Right, and we saw a lot of people today at the police department dropping stuff off. There was already items where we dropped stuff off.
But then we saw at the police department.
It's just, man, you know, just knowing that the Southeast has been hit so hard and having, you know, Haywood and Buncombe County, that being kind of in our backyard in our community, and knowing that it was supposed to hit here.
Mm-hmm. It was supposed to be us. I mean, at least a little bit of that would be us. And what protected us is because the counterclockwise rotation of hurricanes.
It went east of us.
So as it went east, the right side of that hurricane kept going this way and this way and this way. And then really we got pretty much literally nothing. Like nothing happened. I went to bed at night and I said, okay, that night I'm like, okay, I've got a flashlight. Here's some plans I've got in case something were to happen. I never had a fear at all of, there's not even really any trees super close right here to the house. They've been cut over the years. The pine trees have been gone for many years. But I thought, well, there's going to be no power. So here's the things I need to do to prepare for how I'm going to take care of Ira.
I had filled up water bottles of water for bottles. You know, and it just kills me to think that there's mamas out there that may not have, you know, food for their baby. And, but, you know, another thing, and we'll get off here, but another thing that I thought about, you know, you do feel so helpless, but I'm glad we were able to give money. I'm glad we were able to give items, but praying, you know, is so important, and you do feel so helpless, but just every time it comes into your mind throughout the day, you know, God help them, God, if that's, you know, just that, and prayers are so strong. But there's another thing that we can do that I was thinking about, and it's gratitude. It's gratitude, and this can be practiced for anything. Obviously, it's the gratitude that we owe to our Heavenly Father above. You know, Paul talks about our reasonable service in the Bible, but then it's gratitude to honor God, but it's gratitude to honor these people who have lost their lives. It's the gratitude to honor the people who are missing, to honor the people who have lost their children, the children who have lost their parents, the people who have lost their homes. Gratitude is to honor them. So as we go throughout our lives in the following weeks, when we start to complain about something, and I say this to myself, honestly, more than anyone, when I start to complain about something, to remember, yeah, but I've got a home over my head. My baby has food, and I've got a clean bed, and my baby's got a clean bed, you know. And so, just that gratitude of holding on to that I feel like is a way to honor those people. And you know, things could always be worse. We should always be grateful for what we have, but I just feel like when there's things going on like this, it's a season in life for you to realize, hey, I got to be grateful. And that's a way to honor those people. But it's a shocker. It's something that will take you if you just get down. And it's understandable. We all do it. Especially, I mean, I feel like especially me, you kind of get in your own little lane and you start thinking, I got these things. I'm tired. You know, baby never sleeps, and I've not had a night's sleep in 6 months, and I feel like I'm losing my mind, and I'm da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But then I'm like, but I may not be sleeping, okay, but I have a house, but there's a roof over my head, but I have my child. I haven't lost my child.
He's okay, and my house is clean, and my needs are being met. And that's enough. And God does that. God has seen that my needs have been met. So you're exactly right. A way to honor those people. And not just those people, but anybody in any situation that has it less than you for any reason. to be able to say, man, I'm so glad I've got food, I've got shelter, I've got clean water, and then all of the abundance on top of that. I get to do this. I get to do this YouTube channel. I get to take Ira to a doctor's appointment because I'm able to have care for him. I get to wash the dishes because I have running water, soap, and dishes to eat off of. All of these things I get to do because somebody somewhere doesn't. And they would literally be saying, wow, I wish I got to wash dishes in my sink, but see, I don't even have, I'm in a third world country and I don't even have electricity.
Absolutely.
And so I don't even have dishes. We just kind of eat off, the ground or whatever, because there's people. And, people forget that. You think, okay, well, not these days, not these times. But no, even in this modern,
in this
advanced
country.
Yeah.
Not just even. So it's just that's something to remember. And it does. It takes these kind of events oftentimes to recenter our focus. But really, that should be our focus all along, us included. I mean, I'm saying that as much to us as to anyone else. But
yeah, it's my wake-up call to be like, oh my gosh,
No, me for sure. But we wanted to just make this video and kind of just, again, give you an update about our grandparents and let you know about ways maybe that you could help, and just continue to pray for people because the devastation is just unreal in, all these states here in the Southeast. So, kind of a sad, somber video here, but we just got to keep praying. And we're so grateful for y'all. We love y'all. And drop us a comment. We love interacting with y'all.
That's right.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Yep, we will. So, without further ado, God bless you.
God keep you.
I'll see you at the next one.
See you on the next one. I love you, buddy.
I love you too, buddy.